Feminism used to be a force for good around the world, but in the past decade we've seen a decided shift from this
on behalf of the unprecedented coalition of women that today cause this strike to confront the unfinished business of our equality
to this. So what the hell happened? Feminism, by definition, is the advocacy of women's rights on the grounds of political, social, and economic equality to men. First-wave feminism, which emerged in the mid-1800s, strove to gain women the right to vote, which finally happened in 1920. At this point, the movement was focused on middle and upper-class white women. This is where second-wave feminism comes in. Prominent from the 1960s through the 1990s, second-wave feminism focused on issues like sexuality and reproductive rights. This second wave was all about sisterhood, bringing together women of all races and backgrounds under the banner of social equality. In the later stages of second-wave feminism, the movement begins to differentiate between sex as a biological trait and gender as a social construct. Third-wave feminism began in the late 1980s, and this is where definitions start to get nebulous. The third-wave feminists were all about defining their femininity for themselves, casting off the label society had created for women. Now, over the last few years, I believe we've been watching a shift from third-wave feminism to what I would call Tumblr feminism. The advent of the internet has given individuals a way to express themselves in ways they couldn't before, giving everyone their own personal soapbox. We've begun to see a movement concerned not with putting men and women on equal footing, but intending to place men under the boot heel of women. We've seen a transition from a positive movement aiming to create equality to a negative one aiming to check people's privilege. That, I believe, is the rallying cry for Tumblr feminism. Check your privilege. This new movement is personified by people like this young woman, affectionately dubbed Triggerlypuff, as well as her crazy-haired, screaming compatriots. The real question here is, what do these people really want? What's their endgame? To answer that question, we need to define some common Tumblr feminist, hereafter referred to as Tumblrina, buzzwords. Let's start by breaking down their term for their nemesis, the patriarchy. Males, plain and simple. These people hate anyone born male because they're privileged and haven't had to cope with any form of oppression. Now let's break down the Tumblrina's term for the most vile people on the planet. Cis-het white male. Those last two words are pretty self-explanatory, but what about the others? Cis is an abbreviation for cisgendered, meaning anyone whose self-identity matches the gender that corresponds with their biological sex. In short, the opposite of transgender. Het is an abbreviation for heterosexual, meaning anyone who's attracted to the opposite sex. So the thing that Tumblrinas hate the most in the world is people who accept the sex they were born with, are attracted to the opposite sex, and are male. So, normal people. I, as a cis-het white male, absolutely respect your right to have an opinion. But it is my opinion that the toxic cesspool that is Tumblr has completely burned feminism to the ground and ruined over 100 years of hard work. These horrible people have turned something positive into an ideology that hurts the very people it aims to help. Just like the Black Lives Matter movement has done more damage to race relations than all the racists in the world could have done, this fourth-wave feminism has made most of society turn tail and rush back to the waiting arms of traditional gender roles. Of course women should have equal rights to men, and of course they should have control over their own bodies, but these people need to understand that they're an unlovable bunch of hypocrites shouting oppression while they spit in the faces of half of society. So what can you do? I'm not normally one to advocate ignoring problems, but in this case I think it's a valid solution. Leave them alone. Don't poke the hornet's nest because you can't reason with these people. They're not above false rape accusations, as we've seen time and time again. Luckily, it seems that more and more often we hear about trials that end with the accuser behind bars, at least for a little while. In my opinion, these people should be put away for however long the male would have been. How's that for equality? If anything positive has come from Tumblr feminism, it's the fact that in their hate and vitriol, these harpies have spawned a generation of young people tired of their spiteful nonsense. A generation that will hopefully restore feminism to its roots as a movement for equality, rather than the special, snowflake, offense-mongering, sexist, heterophobic, backwards terrorist group it has become. I fully expect this to be a controversial video. Feel free to rip me apart in the comments or leave a dislike, but if you do, please leave a comment explaining your reasoning so I can address it. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to stay informed with new videos. Thanks for watching.